Everybody's back?
I got one just came out.
All right. We're ready to begin. Eric?
Just to note, the Planning and Zoning Commission came out of executive session at 9:25. No decisions were made, no actions were taken. At that point, at 5 minute recess, we'll call for coming back to the session at 9:31.
We are back and ready to go. Number 7, public meeting. Pursuant to practice book section 14-7B to discuss settlement of Arista Development LLC versus Clinton Planning and Zoning Commission. The appeal of the Commission's denial of AR 16-060 application to land floating zone at West Main Street between Hull Street and John Street Extension at Arista Development LLC versus Clinton Planning and Zoning Commission. MMX CV 17-601-7392S. Appeal of the Commission's denial of SP Cam 16-181 site plan application for locating a pharmacy use at West Main Street between Hull Street and John Street Extension in accordance with the terms of the stipulation for judgment, approving a modified site plan on file in the Planning and Zoning Department of the Clinton Town Hall. At this point, I would like to invite the applicant, Arista Development, to come forward and give a presentation. Oh, Attorney Slater's going to first speak first. Okay.
No problem. Just for the record, Ken Slater, attorney for the commission. Just for the benefit of the public, because there's some work behind the scenes that led to this agenda item, and that is there are 2 administrative appeals that are pending. The first one involved a proposal in which a floating zone would be established and would land on the property to allow for a CVS store. This commission denied that application in an appeal that was taken by Arista and is pending in the Superior Court in Middletown. A second application was filed under the existing regulations for a site plan approval for a CVS complying with, purporting to comply with all of the requirements of the zoning regulations. That application was also denied, and a second appeal was taken from that decision. The courts strongly encourage the parties in administrative appeals, like other litigation, to seek opportunities to settle, because litigation bears a lot of risk for both sides. The biggest risk to the town is that the site plan application, the court would have the ability to review the record, review the plans, and make a determination that the site plan, as proposed under the existing regulation, is fully compliant with the regulations and order that it be approved, or to order the commission to consider any additional conditions to it, but effectively require that that plan be approved. In reviewing that, as attorney for the commission, and in understanding the alternative plans that were there, it seemed as though there might be an opportunity to come up with a plan that would not require a change of zone, but would allow some of the things that were important to Arista and CVS, as well as some of the considerations that the town had, including having a design that's transit-oriented and the like. So meetings were held, and a plan is going to be presented to you in a few moments. And under the rules of procedure, in order for this commission to enter into a settlement agreement, the matter has to be put on the agenda of a public meeting. There's no public hearing requirement, and the public is not entitled to comment, but the commission could engage the public and hear comments regarding the modified plan. But ultimately, what the commission, based on that agenda item, will be voting on is whether to enter into a stipulated judgment. Copies here, if the public's interested in it, with one addition that I'll mention, and that is a condition. In fact, actually, I'll wait till after the presentation to reference one additional condition that's being proposed as part of the settlement. But if the commission approves this entry into the stipulated judgment, the next step that will happen is a motion gets filed in the Superior Court to essentially accept the settlement. And the court would consider approving the settlement, in which case, if it is approved, the modified site plans that you're going to see tonight would get recorded, and this plan could go forward, but there would be no change in zone. So there has been an executive session, and there are opportunities to discuss settlement in the context of litigation, and that's happened. But now we'd ask that the plaintiff and the applicant, former applicant at least, please make a presentation overviewing the modified site plans.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner members. My name is Paul Talion, I'm a supervisor for GHP. We're located in Floresville, Connecticut. Mr. Chairman,
Excuse me one
would you like
second.
me to flip
Why don't you
forward?
turn that on so the public can see? Yeah, we already see it.
That's what I was just asking for. Just a minute. All right, just to orient everyone, this is West Main Street here. This is Hall Street, John Street Extension, and train station here. What we're proposing is 13,225 square foot CVS building, which is this orange color here. You see in green is landscaping. This lighter yellow is concrete, usually sidewalk. And the gray is parking area, asphalt basically. The front door to the CVS is located here, in line with West Main Street. There's ADA parking shown here in concrete, close to the front door. There's a compactor in an enclosure in the back building for a cardboard. A dumpster located here, away from the building. The drive-through is located, this is a concrete pad with drive-through right here. From a vehicular access standpoint, we are proposing a right-in, right-out on Hall Street. These were restrictions to these drives were made in accordance with correspondence in several meetings with DOT that took place several months ago. So the entrance on Hall Street would be a right-in and a right-out only. So if you're coming southbound, you would take this right-in, come into the site, enter the parking field, or continue straight to go to the drive-through. Any vehicles that come this way through the drive-through, this is an exit only on John Street, where then they would continue, basically take a left out to West Main Street. The West Main Street entrance is a right in, it's this way, or a left in, and a right out. So basically a left out is excluded. This yellow area here is a concrete island. It's a raised island, so cars cannot go over it. Delivery trucks can, but cars cannot. So basically, it's a full access, except does not allow left ins. Those are vehicular access points. As far as pedestrian access points, as I mentioned before, this yellow type color is concrete. So what we've done is we have sidewalk connections to all three streets and around the entire building. So the sidewalk around these three sides of the building, one connection here to John Street, one connection here to West Main Street, and another connection through the site to Hall Street. All of these are ADA accessible. There's also another connection to the sidewalk this way to the train station, basically in line with the staircase at the train station. Sidewalks will be added along John Street Extension. Currently, there's no definition of curb line or sidewalk there, so we will be extending that sidewalk along that street, as well as closing the gaps across our driveway, the old driveway throughout the front of the site on West Main, and also along Hall Street. So all three sides of the building will have concrete sidewalk. There would be a bike rack here in this concrete pad to further enhance the pedestrian movement into the site. So you have the pedestrian movements I talked about and a bike rack in this location, so that's in close proximity to the door. Another feature we're proposing here at this corner here, you see what's in red here, this is to denote brick pavers. Currently there's a brick ban along West Main Street, which is the improvements that the DOT made a few years ago. We're going to incorporate that into the site. So basically this would be a brick patio area with two benches surrounded by landscaping where the sign for the building will be located. So this is meant for the public to be able to use that and sit in that location. There's going to be decorative lighting along the frontage of the site, here and here. There's a few, only I think 2 lights internal to the site which are not decorative, but the other lighting will be decorative to match the type of lights that you would see along West Main Street and in other areas to the town. The last thing I want to talk about here is minor, no widening to West Main Street, just a minor striping extension of the left turn lane here, left turn from West Main onto Hall Street. So the striping would just be extended back, and this left turn lane is, the queue for that left turn is increasing. So other than that's really the site plan issues, and turn it over to our architect to talk about the building.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Doug Bruner with BK Architects. We're the architect of record for the project, located in Brockton, Massachusetts. Just wanted to give you a brief overview of the building architecture. We wanted to be sensitive to the surrounding town context and actually give you something that's more of a village theme to actually complement the town architecture, not contrast it. This is Greek revival architecture, typically found in coastal New England. Pitched roofs, 7/12 pitched roofs with a cementitious cedar shake, gray neutral color. Trim boards, basically horizontal and vertical to basically frame the materiality of the building. Lots and lots of windows, double hung style. And you can see there's actually a variation in the roof pitches. You got smaller gables, dormers applied, as well as larger ridge lines here. This is the shot on John Street extension. We've actually also added a decorative iron fence along the sidewalk on West Main Street. This is a shot taken from Hall Street and West Main Street. You can actually see more of the details of the building. We've got a covered porch here with classical columns, basically over the entry, as well as additional windows in the upper gable portions, as well as these applied dormers here. This is basically turning onto from West Main Street into the parking lot going towards the drive-through. These are all 4 sides of the building. As you can see, asphalt shingles for the roof line and varying heights of the ridge line as well to actually reduce the mass of the building and emphasize the human scale. And basically, as you enter the rear of the building, the materiality continues. These are the receiving doors, which is actually shown over where the yellow compactor pad is. And they're actually painted to actually blend in with the material, so you really won't see them. Right next to the compactor enclosure, going towards the drive-through, which is angled to aid the vehicular traffic flow of the drive-through itself. The roof is hipped here to actually give you more of a cleaner look of the roof line to make it more continuous. And you enter or exit on John Street extension. You can see here we basically have a lot of vertical elements kind of breaking up the facade as well as the windows. We have decorative shutters as well too to kind of give it more of that.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, if I may add just one item. I just wanted to point out that we were asked by the town to provide a landscape maintenance and operations plan. That plan was submitted to the commission is basically an outline of how the landscape will be maintained throughout the life of the site. So it's in the plan set, so it's something that's enforceable by the town.
While this is a public meeting and there is not required by law to have any public participation, what I'd like to do is give the public 1 minute to comment about what they've heard tonight. If they would like to come and sign in and speak for a minute about it before we vote, we will entertain that. If you, Christine, do you mind doing that? So I'd like to just have it to pertain to what you've heard tonight and keep it to that, and keep it to a minute or less.
We gotta get a sign sheet for you, stay right there. Hey, Ben, you can flip through those pictures if you want.
Oh, thank you.
If anybody intends to speak, please come now and sign up, so that way. Okay, you'll just state your name and address for the record.
I'm Mary Kelly Bush, and address is 43 Waterside Lane, Clinton. The structure proposed is a great improvement over what was initially proposed. And the niceties in it do not, what I'm not hearing tonight, are something that addresses the major problem of traffic flow, which, to my understanding, was partly why it was denied. Here you have the turning lane. The turning lane only doesn't even get to John Street. There is going to be major traffic backup back here. We have in town a stipulation that you cannot have a turn from one street onto another where it is too steep and inclined. Now, you may think this is a driveway and not a street, but with the traffic involved with a commercial building, it becomes a street. You cannot have this be, right now, it's on a hill. I don't know how you propose to solve it. If you're going to have a steep bank here and shave this down, in any case, you're going to have trouble with water drainage collecting, which is a problem now. Even if you increase the drainage on the street, it's a problem.
Very, time's almost up, so.
That's enough for me. I'll
Thank
let
you.
somebody else.
All right, who's
Hi,
next?
I'm Barbara Thorpe, 122 Shore Road, Clinton. And my concern is also with traffic. And I'm hoping the Department of Transportation is going to weigh in on this. But this is a State Route 81 coming down the street. And you have not only an entrance, but an exit where cars are coming into the oncoming 81. And I just saw a semi get stuck under there this weekend, and there was a mess of cars, all congested under the overpass for the railroad. That's a problem. The other problem I see is in the same location as the prior speaker, and that is when you're coming on Route 1 and you're trying to make that train, and you're trying to get down John Street, so you make a quick right-hand turn, and unfortunately somebody else is coming out and trying to make a left-hand turn out of the drive-through. And everybody's got their own agenda, and let's just say it's a cause for congestion, not to mention collision. So I see extreme traffic concerns here that we've got a lot of activity going on, and you have some very tight spaces there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vincent 26 Old Mill Road. This, as we all know, generated a lot of public interest, and the public is tremendously opposed to this corner having a CVS on it at all. But this parking plan is terrible, and that the car traffic goes into the busiest intersection on Route 1 in Clinton that has already been the site, as the previous speaker said, of several major accidents and fatalities. I don't understand why you're rushing this, and I'd like to know what is the requirement You can say, well, legally, we don't have to have a public hearing. Why would you not want to have a public hearing for something so important on the most visible corner in Clinton? So I would ask that you schedule a public hearing so that the public can weigh in, because I think you know they don't want a CVS on this corner. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
David Bouts, 2 Rosemary Lane, Clinton, Connecticut. Through all the iterations of this, we still have the same problems. This plan still doesn't reflect the intent of the spirit of the plan for conservation and development. It goes against everything that plan, you guys adopted that plan to do. This goes totally against it. I don't understand where you're coming from. I don't understand why you're not listening to your constituents. To me, it's a shambles.
Jeff Cashman, 66 River Road. I think each one of you, I want to, just really kind of thanks to each one of you guys on the commission tonight. You got a tough thing ahead of you. I don't think you've ever had such a wrangling situation before in front of you. But I do want to thank the people that did come forward today with this application. I think their improvements are really, really nice. They would be a compliment to our town with the change in the building plans. I did have some small concerns about tractor trailer entrance and exit on the CDL driver, and I think, we did that island, those islands that you put in there, I think they should disappear, because the tractor trailer trying to get in there or do it in line striping or something so that the tractor trailer could jump over top of it, definitely needs some room to maneuver getting in there. And sometimes I think line striping is really kind of important. It keeps the small cars going, and it does keep the tractor trailers knowing what's going on. Yes, we did just have an accident in town. It was a mistake that somebody made and didn't see the bridge. I understand that. My question is, and very simply, we've watched Public Works have to do an awful lot with snow removal and sidewalks and stuff like that during snow. Where do you put the snow temporarily? Every parking space is really kind of needed there. Sometimes in the landscape plan, the snow gets piled up, and the next thing you know, it has to be carted out in certain instances. I've been a contractor for years. But I want to take 2 seconds and just thank you for making these improvements, because it does show that you're in good faith. You'd like to try and do something a little bit better for our town, and I've changed my opinion a little bit about being so harsh about the CVS. So I wanted to say thank you. I do believe in our town. I believe that something needs to be done there. I'm not sure that my dream for what's here is entirely different than what yours is. I realize it's a commercial piece of property. I realize CVS needs to expand and keep up with the technologies of today. And I think the commission is smart enough. You've got some really good guys on the commission that care about our town. I wanted to encourage you to get as much as you possibly can, because this is a life event in our town. It's going to make a big difference. And to remember that when it comes, and the impact is for a long, long time. Okay, so the buildings that are there, I just wish a lot of luck. Sometimes I think we nitpick an awful lot. And I wanted to say that tonight. Thank you for bringing a plan that seems to be really kind of probably the best we're ever going to really kind of get for the money that we're going to spend. So I'm against it in some aspects. I think some improvements could be made, and maybe some contractual issues and recommendations for snow removal and the list of the care could happen. Maybe the snow removal needs to come out and be bucketed out of there, so it makes it nice between certain periods of time. There's probably some more workability that could come up from the commission and making it easy for everybody. So, with that being said, I'm going home. It's been a long day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly.
I'm sorry you had your, sorry.
About the traffic study?
No, sorry. Everyone got one opportunity to speak.
That's it. That's it.
That will close the public portion. Can I entertain a motion from the commission on this?
I could jump in. In order to comply with the rules regarding the settlement, I think the motion could be very simple. It just simply be a motion to enter into the stipulated judgment that has been presented tonight. But I would also offer to the commission that from my discussions with the applicant, through the applicant's attorney, with the transit-oriented nature of the business, there was an agreement on the part of the applicant to a condition that it would install a pad for the purposes of a bus stop at a location to be determined in the future. So what I would add, and I think you can just certainly incorporate this just in the motion, we've reviewed language, and an additional paragraph would be added to the stipulated judgment that would read as follows. As a condition of this stipulation, comma, the plaintiff agrees to install at its cost a pad for a local bus stop at a location on the site property determined by the town of Clinton after consultation with the local mass transit company and any necessary state or local officials, period. This condition is integral to approval of the modified site plan and will be stated as a condition of approval on the final recorded plan sheets. So that paragraph would get added.
Could you also add in about the sign?
Yes, and so the only two changes to the plans themselves would be, that condition would be added, and then also further into the discussion we had, the what's described as the 20-foot high illuminated pylon sign. The final plans that would be submitted will reduce the area below the CVS logo by an amount of at least 2 feet and as much as 3 feet from what's on the plan. So those two changes would be made to the actual plans that would be submitted and recorded, if I have that accurately.
Is that right?
Reducing the total height of the
The
sign.
total height of the sign has
Right.
been reduced,
Right, not
So-
just the sign.
not just the bottom. but the
Right, if
total
you
height.
remove 2 to 3, fair enough. You remove the
3
height
feet.
by removing 2 to 3 feet of the area that's below, as you see it depicted.
Going all the way across the house.
Right.
So it has to be lower at
So
least.
total height, I should-
We're talking about 3 feet, I believe.
Okay.
And I have a question, I'm not sure who's going to,
I was going to say, I think we have to discussion after, let's talk about the,
That's it, motion is the conditions.
yeah, motion, second, the discussion, unless it's about the procedure.
Did you have anything else?
procedural,
Is it working?
so DOT has reviewed it. How does our traffic authority review this process? The police commission is our local traffic authority. How do they become involved in the process with DOT?
In which process, with the pad for a turnaround? I
No,
mean, for a bus stop?
overall, the traffic, advising on the traffic.
Presumably, they've done that twice, right?
Three.
Not DOT, but the local traffic
So
authority?
the local traffic authority was given it as part of the underlying application process here. At this point, because the two main roads are state roads, it can go back to the local traffic authority for further comments, but DOT is really going to have the final say as to what happens along Hall Street and West Main Street there. I guess they have some input as to what happens along John Street there, but obviously the main portion of what we're looking at is the state highways there. So the local traffic authority is potentially going to be able to give its opinion to DOT, but DOT is going to have final say on what happens to state highways.
Okay. All right. Can I entertain a motion to approve or deny entering into settlement? I'll make a motion to approve. With the conditions.
With the conditions.
Second. First, and I have a second. All right, take a vote. All those in favor?
We have a discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Discussion, I'm jumping the gun.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
my first issue would be, this has not been, reviewed by the village engineer, and there are changes that would affect drainage, and there are changes that would affect circulation. I applaud the elimination of the entrance on John Street, but I think that the situation with trucks coming out there, I'm very much concerned about left turns off of Main Street onto the site, and just the whole impact of this on traffic flow in this area. And I would like to see some evaluation of the impact. It's I find it terrifying.
I mean, we've heard layman after layman find traffic terrifying, but we've heard expert after expert say it's negligible.
Okay. Any other comments? Chris?
I mean, I think at the end, I mean, if you're looking at the situation, I mean, obviously, they would like to move it. Everybody's not going to agree that this is, you know, that this is what they want at this site, okay? But if we're looking at what's there right now, and the buildings that are there now, everybody's worrying about the gateway to Clinton. Well, the gateway to Clinton right now doesn't look very nice, because that's a road that we're coming up and everybody's coming up. The traffic issue, yes, okay, it's a problem, but it's a problem in Clinton all the time. The CVS movement is not going to create any more traffic. We can drive up and down that road numerous times. You can drive anytime during the summer and drive up and down that road. That road's packed. And the CVS, I mean, it's not going to, I mean, will it have an impact? There's going to be trucks, yes, but they've looked at the issue of the DOT looking at this building and making sure that the way these trucks will be coming in and out are acceptable. I mean, not everybody's going to agree, I understand, and everybody can make faces and hate it and not like it. I understand that. But unfortunately, it's a privately owned property. Somebody wants to move there, nobody else is going there. The buildings that are there are dilapidated. And I know everybody says we can fix them, we can take them. Well, I mean, those can't be fixed. You can ask people in our town, the fire department, the police department, go to those places. Because those people also have comments about those buildings and what goes on there. And that's not good for our town.
I think it's an important fact to remember that this is a settlement, because there's a high probability that if we don't settle, we're going to get the monotonous private building that nobody wants either.
That was going to be mine.
Please, everybody remember that. The reason why we're here tonight is because of a settlement. And if we don't approve this, a 99% chance that they could go to court, we could win the floating zone.
We don't know what the probability is yet. We have no idea what the probability of winning
And
is.
the discussions are amongst yourselves, you're not really discussing.
Yeah.
Christine?
So my concern stems back from, historically, we had looked at plans for the train station and expansion of the train station. And now we're looking at November that the DOT Amtrak is coming back to the town with expanded train station view. But we haven't incorporated those into the site plan. We haven't addressed expanded landscaping in conjunction with the train station. And, you know, it seems like we're not all speaking the same language here. You know, the town really hasn't engaged in the capacity of looking at our future use of the train station, the expanded number of parking that's going to be required, the access points that are critical for the town. And then you also have to take into consideration what the POCD had in mind for this area of the town. Plan of Conservation Development talked about utilizing this area for a higher and better use, rezoning it for a higher and better use to bring more tax revenue into the town. So it's very frustrating to go down this road, and we've had years and years, now it's been 2 years, I think a year and a half doing this process, and we haven't stopped and rezoned the area for a higher and better use. It's just very frustrating. I do applaud the applicant for coming back and providing a much better design and listening to some of the concerns. But at the end of the day, not everybody was at that table. You know, there was certainly a meeting that took place between the attorneys and some people on the commission, but not everybody's at the table until now. And the site plan is, I would say, at a completed stage at this point.
We can't, I mean, unfortunately, we have an application before, so we can't rezone that property. It is what it is. Right now, we're faced with what we have, and what we have is an application that's been submitted multiple times, and the zoning is what the zoning is. We can't change the zoning on that property now. And that's, I mean, you know, we're talking about untangibles, and we can't fix that problem now. That ship's passed, unfortunately. I mean, if we wanted to do that, we should have done that a long time ago, but now we're faced with an application that's before us, and we're running a very big risk. Running a risk of having an ugly building that nobody wants, or having something that at least is presentable to our town.
I agree with Christine that rezoning is very important for the downtown. It's very important. At this stage, we're faced with 2 suits on the property, and that has to be a consideration in what we do tonight, either way. Tim?
I'd just like to say this. CVS did what I consider to be certainly an outstanding presentation to make a bad situation better. This is a plan. They didn't have to do this, but they did because they knew public sentiment and they knew our sentiment. I think we have to consider the alternatives, and I don't like the alternatives. But I do like the fact that they are a town member, and I think what they've done tonight is shown that they want to be and continue to be a town member in good standing. This is a much better presentation. I think they've taken every possible opportunity to make it as safe as possible. It's not perfect, but it is as safe as possible. I think they've also made it pedestrian friendly for people walking, for people riding. And most important to me is that this would eliminate an eyesore that is something I've had to look at for 35 years. And quite frankly, I think they've done a magnificent job in making an opportunity to bring a beautiful site to a very difficult location. We can sit here and say, oh, there's going to be something better that can come down the road. I've been here for 35 years, and I haven't seen it yet. And I would bet that if I lived another 35 years in this town, I wouldn't see it. So I applaud these people for bringing something to us that I think is a hell of a lot better alternative than what we were presented initially. I personally don't want to go any farther in any legal matters, and I think they presented something that is certainly presentable to this town.
Any further comment before we move on? All right, barring none. All those in favor of the motion to the amended settlement, please raise their hand. Okay. True. Adam? Gary? Tim? Chris? And Eddie? Opposed? Christine and Alan?
Can you clarify to the public that I'm not voting?
Ellen is not voting because she's not seated.
Yeah.
And I'm not voting because I'm chairman. Motion carries. Okay. Moving on, thank you everyone for coming.